it is our great pleasure to have Hajjah Rotina to share with us the directions and frameworks of how we can sustainably move forward.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, for the introduction. Mr. James Hajjah, President of the International Federations of Landscape Architects, IFLA, Dr. Suhadi Maulan, President of Institute of Landscape Architects Malaysia, ILAM, fellow keynote speaker, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome all participants to the 57th IFLA World Congress, World Landscape Architects Summit, IFLA2020, first to be held live streaming from Georgetown, Penang, Malaysia. I hope everybody is in your greatest health and sincerely hope the pandemic will not deter our perseverance and passion in delivering our effort to create, respect, enhance, and restore integrity of our landscape. I'm honored to be with you here today to deliver my keynote regards to finite resources and how we are addressing depleting resources, a global environmental situation in dire need for solution. We are going to look at the scenarios and impact, and subsequently, how can we synergize our expertise and professionalism to make sure our role as a landscape architect can be put forward to restore nature and biodiversity towards a livable future. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that nature and its natural resources are central to human well-being. Biodiversity loss due to climate change and human activities has a severe impact to this ecosystem. Extinction rate varies widely, but several scientists have agreed that human activities has induced an extinction crisis that threaten to undermine human survival. Maintaining biodiversity in this system is critical to their survival, as biodiversity is central to system resilience and function. The uncontrolled consumptions of natural resources has significant effect and impact on these three major aspects of our life. One is the environment, where disappearance of habitat essential for flora and fauna has caused the extinction of species. There are about 30 million different animals and plant species in the world. And of these, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, says that currently more than 31,000 species are threatened with extinction. The second is the economic aspect, where 33% of the world's soil are moderately to highly degraded. This is according to United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. If the erosion of fertile soil continues at the same rate, the agriculture commodity price will certainly soar and affect other related sectors such as consumerism and industries. The third is related to our health. Evidently, if we do not take care of our forests and natural landscape, there will be fewer CO2 sinks, and therefore more air pollution will happen. The finding of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, shows that if the greenhouse gas emissions continue at the current rate, the Earth temperature is expected to rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius between 2030 to 2052. And according to the World Health Organization, 9 out of 10 people worldwide breathe with air with high pollutant level, and 7 million people die each year from air pollution. These staggering figures show how the activities carried out by humans are depleting the planet's natural resources. In fact, at the moment, we are witnessing terrifying disasters like wildfire, flood, landslide, increased water level, and event of temperature rise up to almost 50 degrees Celsius, and many more. There are entirely visible evidence that our future is at risk, and the standard of living will begin to decline at 2030 unless immediate action is taken. There are many ways proposed by many stakeholders and agencies of actions planned to be carried out in order to help in prevention of natural resources depletion. The future, as stated in the latest event of United Nations Agenda 2030 for the Sustainable Development, poses a double challenge to human beings, conserving the many forms and functions of nature and creating an equitable home for people on a finite planet. So, we want to reverse this situation. We need to conserve natural capital through restoration of degraded ecosystem and its services, the loss of habitat, and significantly expand the global network of protected areas. Secondly, is to improve the production system by significantly reduce the object, material, and resources used in the development of human life and the volume of waste in production system. Thirdly is to consume more responsibly by promoting healthier and modest lifestyle that leave a smaller environmental footprint, change and promote healthy and sustainable consumption patterns, coupled with technological advancement and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, the 21st century is expected to be the first in history in which a majority of humanity live in cities. And if the present trend continues, it may also be the one in which those urban populations inflict irreversible damage on the Earth's interconnected ecological system. We are at the intersections of dealing with the force leading to the neglect of limits versus the ethics to protect the nature. There are among crucial circumstances often faced by many professionals, including landscape architects, who are handling environmental-related programs. In balancing the right and interest over natural resources, we can see that landscape architects hold an important role in ensuring environmental sustainability through the design intervention, which most cases we plan and design cities and urban environment. Hence, the landscape architect is expected to be visionary, efficient communicator, designer, and also an ecologist. We connect with the environment and determine innovative way of creating functions and practical space that inspire people and enliven spaces with the help of science and design. The rule of thumb is to understand and apply the common ethics that nature is to be respected and human and nature are supposed to coexist. As human and as a professional, a prominent way to think about natural resources is to look at them in terms of depletion risk. We can do so by helping to ensure our natural resources make up a network of interdependence, forming a functional ecosystem. By using this nature-inspired measure in green infrastructure, cities reduce waste and becoming more circular. Making our building and green infrastructure last longer means less waste and help us approach and realize the idea of having the circular cities. I wish to recall IFLA's move to declare climate and biodiversity emergency at the World Congress in Oslo, Norway in 2019. The move comes following the undivided support of the 77 nations, and it maps out an action plan of what IFLA and members will do in response to the issues related to the extreme weather that the globe is facing. Among the important commitments declared in the IFLA climate action plans are advocating at the global level of government and decision-making forum for recognizing the emergency, actions to implement needs for change to policy and practice, and allocation of sufficient resources to respond in a timely and productive manner. At the same time, IFLA hopes to work with the National Association to update ethical standards and code of conduct to align with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030. We have seen various efforts of partnerships and ventures implemented by IFLA associates around the world to advocate for immediate actions, which is truly inspiring. In recent years, while many governments around the world are strategizing and restructuring policies for a better future, an emerging pathway of research and practice has been advocating for active return of nature into cities. The idea of bringing nature back into cities has been explored by researchers, professionals, and developed countries that shows that an increased visibility dimensions of sustainability and biodiversity conservation in urban environment. It is evidence that any actions to bring back nature into cities should be driven by inclusive decision-making process, holistic landscape governance, a thorough advanced field of ecology, including topics revolving ecology network, optimizing greeneries and landscape connectivity that need to be considered to facilitate the return of nature into cities. This includes incorporating landscape management, preservation, conservation, and restoration plan as needed to ensure its success. Equally important is to make sure that the current regulation and policy with regards to urban landscape and related environment field is strengthened and effectively adopted. More green reserve and gazette should be in place. More importantly, it is included as essential green infrastructure. in the many ecosystem-related approaches within the nature-based solution strategy, landscape architect can also, in many ways and approaches, help to govern, plan, design, manage, and mitigate the issues in urban setting. If we were to envision our cities as a circular cities, green is how they would look. It is because achieving a circular economy means using nature as a template. With the help of green infrastructure, we can take nature as an example and transform our cities into circular cities. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe this profession is progressing well and acknowledged by fellow built environment professionals. We design cities and landscape to connect rather than to disconnect from nature. We can reconcile the need of communities and healthy ecosystem in order to serve both. Landscape architect can design corridors that are not only public parks, but also facilitate flora and fauna movement through human development, allowing both nature and human to coexist. It is indeed so encouraging to see more and more urban accomplishments around the world were designed and executed by landscape architects, restoring and transforming deteriorating urban spaces into green, vibrant, and refreshing centers has been this profession forte, and we need more of this spirit in making sure that we are indispensable in delivering our services toward sustainability of our environment through restorations of natural resources and biodiversity. As a way forward and solidarity to our planet, I hereby would like to call for a Kuala Lumpur Action Plan 2021, a global world of experts and network in landscape architecture. The framework aims to galvanize urgent and transformative action by global landscape architects, government, and other sectors, including local communities, civil society, and businesses, to achieve the outcomes set out in its vision and thereby to contribute to IFLA resilient, transformative, sustainable climate accord. I also call for all landscape architects to be able to contribute in the global landscape and biodiversity framework, primarily through activity at the national level, with supporting action at the national, regional, and global level. Specifically, it will provide a global, outcome-oriented framework towards the updating and documenting of national landscape and biodiversity strategies and action plans to achieve this vision. The technical and evidence-based projects and programs under this framework shall be able to encourage physical changes, especially in the cities. I believe it is timely for the urban development system to initiate multi-level land use in high-rise and building, where we can incorporate vertical greeneries as well as spaces for park and gardens, preferably on the rooftop. If this action can be made mandatory, we can eventually have a continuous greenery made up by these park and greeneries to help to reduce the urban microclimate. I would like to propose for a preparations of yearly country report with regards to landscape and biodiversity to be initiated and implemented to document specifically about the progress, achievement, and mitigation data derived from the technical and evidence-based figure. We hope that through the establishment of the above state framework, we can help the society to determine priorities and financial allocation, as well as the resources, internalizing the value of nature and recognize the cost of inaction. This framework should be at the front line to implement environmental-oriented action, to bring about transformation in society relationship with biodiversity, and to ensure that by 2050, the shared vision of living with harmony with nature is established. Thus, we seek a long-term goal that are coming from landscape architect interventions as follows. The integrity of all ecosystems is enhanced while conserving connectivity and integrity of natural ecosystem. Nature's contribution to peoples are valued, maintained, and enhanced through landscape and biodiversity conservation while supporting the global development agenda. Preparing for current and next generation a well-nurtured landscape and biodiversity for equal benefit. Landscape governance towards green infrastructures and regulatory framework, as well as landscape capacity building and technical as well as scientific cooperation and technological transfer and advancement is to implement for the framework to be effective. Ladies and gentlemen, we envision every individual has the right to live in harmony with a diverse and healthy natural ecosystem where they can breathe clean air, appreciate and enjoy the natural resources. Thus, it is important that we inspire one another as well as to harness, strengthen, and complement each other's capacity towards the goal of living in nature and materializing it as part of our culture. I truly believe that with time, landscape architects around the world can show how we respond and deal with global issues. I hope we can be leaders in pioneering green infrastructures towards sustainable and circular cities. And with that, I have delivered my views, and together we chart a better future for all. Until we meet again, I wish all of you a fruitful Congress ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Hajjah Rotina, for highlighting the importance of biodiversity in our landscape development.